Good morning on this last day of October, and it's Halloween. So happy Halloween to all of you who are tuning in today. And in Ireland, in the Celtic calendar, it's Samhain, which is celebrated as the time when it's kind of halfway between the autumn and the winter solstice, the autumn equinox and the winter solstice. And it's a time when we reflect on the world around us, and that everything is shutting down, going inwards, shedding what it doesn't need, and conserving energy in order to negotiate the colder, darker months. And we are part of that natural world. So some of you may already be aware that there's a kind of slowing down of the pace, and maybe feeling a little bit reflective. I know a lot of my clients have already fed back to me that they are feeling much more in tune with what's going on around them, and a need to just slow down a bit and to ask, what have I gained over the last 12 months, or perhaps even over the last summer months? And what needs to be shed or let go of in order for me to be able to see my way through these colder, darker months, and to come out more abundant, more blooming, more creative than I did before. It's interesting when we think about how we regard this time of year, and I know many of you with children will be very preoccupied with trick-or-treating and witches and goblins and ghosts and all of those costumes and things, and that's great fun, and it's wonderful that children can celebrate in any way what's going on. But what I think is interesting is to notice that in Celtic history and in many indigenous populations, just becoming closer to our dead, excuse me, thinking about them, was not a time where we were fearful of them. It was a time of celebration. If you think about the Mexican Day of the Dead as well, which is a similar time. It's not exactly the same time, but it's around this time of year again. It's about looking at our ancestors and what we learnt from them, looking at our dead and celebrating what they gave us. And we can do that literally by remembering, those that have passed, whether that's recent or a long time ago. All of our ancestors, all of the people that came before us, gave us something, and maybe still giving us things. Whether that is it could be something literal like a language or a culture. Or it could be that we learnt how to survive in very difficult times. Whatever it is, there will be some skill that has been learnt and has been passed on to us in some way. And the purpose of just stopping and reflecting on what's been given to us by those who came before us is just, it's an honouring of what came before us, so that we can let go of them if necessary, so that they do not rule us on a daily basis, but we are grateful for what we've learnt from them, and we can actually use those skills consciously and appropriately. And so today, what I wanted to encourage was a reflective process maybe on your literal ancestors. What have they given me? And sometimes it's easy to forget. You might not even have known those people, but sometimes the fact that somebody actually chose to leave one country and go to another, for example, has enriched us in some way. So that could be, that can pay dividends in its own right. Also, though, just reflecting on our own lives just over the last 12 months, or even over the last few months, the last half of the year, maybe, and thinking about all the experiences that we've had to date. What have we learnt from them? Even the most difficult ones, even the darker experiences, there's always some light in that darkness. There's always some learning from everything we experience. And as I say, it might just be, as simple as, I'm not doing that again, or that didn't work for me, or that really worked for me. Let's have more of that. So I wanted to encourage a kind of reflective practice this week that was about honouring our dead, if you like, so the things that have passed, and being able to build on that, and also, very importantly, to have things in place that allow us to do that. So what I mean by that is that any resource that nurtures you, that enables you to feel held and able to go inwards and able to be reflective and to be still when necessary. Because at this time of year, we may be more still outwardly, but there's a lot going on inside. So all the energy is inside, and all our attention and our vitality is within us, because this is our core. This is the most important thing. What's going on outside there is only able to affect us when we are not strong, when we are not fully healthy. And so this is a time of year where we are going into the colder, darker months. And certainly in the Celtic wheel, darkness was not the end. Darkness was the beginning. Darkness is about rebirth. It's about consolidating everything that's happened over the year and strengthening it, throwing out what we don't need and keeping what we do so that we can build on it and it can blossom in the spring. So that's what I wanted to encourage this week, is for you to just ask good questions about your previous months, or even if you want to focus directly on your ancestors, your literal ancestors, as I've said, and just ask, what have I learnt? Are there any patterns that I recognise? What do those patterns mean? Are they positive for me, or are they keeping me a little bit stuck? What can I do to help encourage an integration of whatever needs to come in from the cold, whatever needs to be part of me, and so I can let go of them? Because often we can't actually release things, or painful experiences, relationships, anything like that. We can't do that until we recognise what we've learnt from them, and then we can put them to rest. And then we can perhaps celebrate them on an annual basis, rather than having them run our lives. So yeah, I hope that's clear. Do let me know if you have any questions or comments, then do pop them in the thread below. I'm happy to answer anything. And yeah, right at the end, so if you're still with me and thinking, who is this woman? I'm Rebecca. I'm a homeopath. I'm a holistic life coach, QTT practitioner, and a natural health advocate. And this is just part of my commitment to encouraging as many of us as possible to become more conscious of what works for us and what doesn't work for us, what keeps us healthy physically, emotionally, and spiritually. And if you would like to talk to me more on a one-to-one basis, then do click the link that's with this video, and you can book a free call with me, free clarity call, and we can have a chat about the best way forward for you to help you to be able to grow and nurture yourself in the best way for you. So this is the time of year to be putting things in place to help us to do that. So I hope that message is clear, and that you have a wonderful celebration of all that you have learnt from the past, and that you can gather it all in and shed what you don't need and keep what you do to be built on. Thanks very much for joining me, and I will see you in November. Take care.